the whole movie, there were just moments where I was like, okay, that was kind of funny. And then the rest of it, I'm just like, why? Why?
And
Why?
I'm over here busting a gut, man. All right. Well, let's pop things off.
Let's get it.
This week we're discussing Den of Thieves, Pantera.
Or Den of Thieves 2?
Dose.
Maybe? I don't know. It's supposed to be a sequel.
It is. It is a sequel. Same characters, actually. I looked into it. Stetson and I both had never seen... Oh, maybe you saw it?
I'm pretty sure that I've seen it, but I feel like I'm mixing it up with another kind of a heist movie.
Yeah. Easy to do.
Yeah. I can't remember which movie I'm thinking about, but it's like... I mean, it's Four Brothers. For some reason, I'm thinking like... Do you know Four Brothers?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Not
for some
this movie,
reason,
though.
it all got mixed in. And I do remember I have seen Den of Thieves, but going into Den of Thieves, I thought it was going to be more like Four Brothers.
And I had never seen it, so I didn't know what to expect at all from this movie. But let's pop into it. So Den of Thieves Pantera is from the same creator and writer as Den of Thieves. Christian Gudegast, I believe is his name. And in Den of Thieves Pantera, he comes up with a completely new story. And I say that a little tongue-in-cheek because it's a heist movie that's meant kind of to make fun of other heist movies, honestly. Stetson doesn't really see it that way, but we'll get into that later. Den of Thieves Pantera stars Gerard Butler as Nick O'Brien, the Marlboro smoking, Pepsi drinking, blue-eyed American cop, and O'Shea Jackson, the genius jewel thief with an addiction to winning.
Also, Ice Cube's son.
And played Ice Cube in the Straight Outta Compton movie. But anyways, this movie really tackles the big issues, the big questions in your life, like what kind of music should we listen to while we're working? And
what's it like to do drugs for the first time?
And why are overweight older American men completely irresistible to foxy European women?
That's a good question.
A question that really wasn't answered, but it brought the question to your mind. And also, can a cop and a jewel thief become best friends?
And if you go and see the movie, you will find out.
So let's pop into it.
Let's get into Behind the Butter, where, just a reminder, there are spoilers here. So we will talk about almost every aspect of this film and certain parts of it that you will only know if you see the movie. So skip ahead to the rating if you don't want to hear any spoilers.
And with that said, it's a 2.5 hour long movie that probably didn't need to be 2.5 hours long. Probably could have streamlined that to like an hour 45, I bet. But I loved it. I really enjoyed that movie.
Coming out of the movie, I for sure thought all of us were aligned on how this movie landed. And Toast came out and he was like, that was amazing. That was so good.
It was so funny.
And like, to his credit, like there are certain parts of this movie that are like, they had to have done it on purpose.
Oh yeah.
But it's just so dumb at the same time that you're just like, I'm sitting back thinking, why does this exist?
For me, specifically for me. But so I guess let's start talking about it. One of the first scenes they show is Nick O'Brien going into the office of, I guess it's it's an elite task force in the LA County Sheriff's Department. And he's basically telling his bosses, I think this guy's still operating. I want to investigate him. And his bosses are like, no. By the way, do you want a LaCroix? They're 100 calories. They're 0 calories. And Nick casually reaches over, grabs a Pepsi. He doesn't care about calories because real men don't care about calories.
There were so many interesting moments like that. And that one it was so obvious and it was pretty impactful where you're just watching it and you're just like, okay, there's this kind of squarish guy that's straight edge that he grabs the liqueur. He's like, oh, 50 calories, no sugar. That's great. Then Gerard Butler grabs the Pepsi and then they both like slurp it and there's just complete silence before their boss comes in for a second. And it was interesting. And I was like, that was kind of cool. And like at the very start of the movie, you get the sense that, oh, this is going to be smart. This is like a really smart heist. These guys are just way smarter than everybody else. They've thought 15 steps ahead. And in the first movie, it's very similar too, because in the first movie, they steal a ton of money from the Federal Reserve and it's all discontinued bills. And so there's no record of any money being stolen. And so that's why Gerard Butler can't catch them. He knows that they did it, but he doesn't know how they did it. And he's just like, I will freaking catch these guys eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just tons of those moments where you're just like, I guess we're seeing into this guy's psyche, but I don't really like him.
Well, and I think that's the point. You're not supposed to really like him, but then throughout him becoming best buds with O'Shea Jackson, he becomes endearing. Like you almost do like him during that point, and you can see him become more alive, and like he looks younger. Like they really did him dirty in the first couple scenes, but then he looks younger. His eyes started like beaming almost. They were so blue.
Do you think that he's looking that way because he knows that he's about to bust these guys? You know, that he's about to get away with like figuring out how to prove that these people are the thieves all along because they're getting away without any like evidence at all.
Yeah, but when you're watching it, and if you haven't seen it before, you're watching it and you're thinking, wow, he really enjoys this life so much better. Like him being in this moment, this is where he's supposed to be. And then obviously he betrays them at the end,
and then unbetrays them by getting him out. It's so stupid.
Tire changes stripes, man.
But you also see that where the other cop, you know, the French cop that stays straight, and he's at the cathedral, and he sees him with his kids, and he's like, yeah, that's me, and I get it. I get why that guy chose this life and why that guy continues to choose this life, because that's me, and that will always be me. I will always be the guy that like has to catch the bad guys.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if like up to that point, if he had decided that he was going to turn them in or not.
Right. I don't know at what point he decided.
Yeah, and that's an interesting idea of trying to figure that out. Of was it his plan from the very beginning to turn him in, or was it in the middle of the heist, or you know, getting into the heist where he finally decided like, oh, like I have to do the right thing and turn these guys in. Yeah,
and it caught me so off guard when he did turn them in because like everybody's celebrating. It seems like a great moment, and then you see him just kind of
he's like
sad and like you know, itching himself and stuff, and then the police come in, and during that whole scene I'm like, what's going on with this guy? Is he like feeling guilty? Is he going to try to betray him now? No, he already did. And
I mean, as soon as he sat down, I knew that the cops were going to raid it.
Yeah.
As soon as he sat down, I was like, oh, he feels super guilty right now because everyone's really, really happy. He secretly is really happy that they made this happen. And not only did they steal, you know, all the, you know, diamonds or whatever, they did get the one diamond that they needed back to satisfy the mafia.
Yeah.
And they were just like successful all around. I mean, even him getting out without hurting anybody, just shooting the one cop in the vest.
Yeah, because that was one of his. They also bonded over father drama. Both of their fathers got shot when they were younger, and O'Shea Jackson's dad didn't make it out, and so that's why he became a thief, was to provide for his family and stuff. Young kid, no father, mom's on welfare and stuff.
I don't know if that's why he became a thief.
That's what he said.
No, he became a thief because he was really, really smart, and he was walking through a really high end neighborhood, and he started noticing patterns, and he's like, it would be so easy for me to get in and get out without being seen.
But the first time that he stole was on Christmas. It was another year that his mom couldn't afford anything, and so he said, I already clocked the neighborhood. I already knew exactly how to do it, so I just went and did it. So
yeah,
but then he got addicted to it.
Yeah, then he got addicted to the idea, and that's what's interesting too. At the very end, when he really does not give a rip about
who he's working for.
He's just like, okay,
financing.
Cool. Like, I get to go and steal things for the mafia now, where they have all this,
They have helicopters. Like
all this infrastructure.
So much more is possible.
But he was already a crazy wealthy guy. He was fronting the whole operation to for the heist. So he's already super wealthy. He doesn't really need the mafia
because he made it out of that Federal Reserve deal. And so that's the whole point. Is Nick O'Brien is trying to track down this gang that stole from the Federal Reserve. He finds O'Shea Jackson and he says, all right, I'm not going to bust you. You got to take me with you. I'm in on your next job,
Yeah, that he's tired of being broke and never getting ahead and seeing all these other people get ahead by breaking the rules. Mm-hmm. And another thing that's kind of cool about this is that he never had jurisdiction, so the only way that he could bust them was to have the French bust them.
Yeah.
And all the rules that he broke, he didn't really break because he wasn't a cop.
Except for guns are illegal in France, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
And he did shoot somebody, although he had a vest on.
Did he know he had a vest on? I mean,
he acted like he knew, but I think that was just a lucky guess.
But he was a security guy.
He was,
and it was like super heavy armed security people. So chances would be that he had a vest on, but we didn't know. We thought he freaking straight up shot him.
Yeah.
To get away.
Honestly, I totally believed Nick O'Brien had flip-flopped. I thought that he was a criminal now, which I guess at the end they said that he is. But I thought that's why it caught me so off guard, because him and O'Shea Jackson just became so charming as best friends to me. Like their little montage of riding scooters through the city and running into each other.
That was so dumb. That was so dumb, dude.
Dude, they
were crashing
so
their scooter.
Endearing.
They fall down at the same spot. They're like, "Oh crap!" And then they sit on the sidewalk, and then they just start talking really deep stuff because they're super high.
Like,
and
I'm hungry.
Yeah, I got
thirsty.
The munchies. And O'Shea Jackson played a really good high person, but it was almost overboard. He had his eyes droopy and looked high, but it was just man, it feels like you're acting high.
I don't know. For me, I bought it. They had such a fun dynamic going from cat and mouse to going to, it was like watching Tom and Jerry become best friends. At a certain point I felt like I was watching Step Bros or Step Brothers a little bit, because of that moment when they're like, did we just become best friends? Yup.
Yeah, I mean, they bonded over the idea that they were just obsessed with what they did.
Yeah.
There was nothing else in life but what they were doing, and that's all they cared about. That's all they wanted to do. And I mean, I see it, but it just, and the whole movie, there were just moments where I was like, okay, that was kind of funny. And then the rest of it, I was like, why?
And I'm over here busting a gut, man. Because it was such obvious humor and such like they were obviously poking fun at other heist movies, other cop movies, you know, the entire genre. And it was so funny to me because it was also shot so dramatically. Every shot was so like it was lit dramatically. The color grading was dramatic. So the little jokes didn't make like it was such a juxtaposition
Nothing
for
made
me.
sense. Don't get me started about the score, dude. Like whoever was the music designer of that movie needs another job. The last song that plays in the movie is out of place.
It's such a hype up song, though.
It's so freaking out of place. It's like watching, Fast and the Furious when Paul Walker's driving away. It's supposed to feel like that.
Yeah.
Like the music is that level.
And it did.
It definitely did it. I was like, this is the worst song you could have picked for this moment. And then the club scene, the sound design was so freaking off that it sounded like we were listening to music, but the club was silent. You know, like how there was no music in the club because the sound design, the music was so in front of everything else that there was no depth to the sound. And so it literally felt like the sound did not exist in the scene. And you're just like, this is a silent scene for them? And like, we're just hearing music. It was bad. Like the club scene was bad.
I didn't notice that. I was too entranced by Gerard Butler acting high and his eyes turning like blue, and like it was a fun scene.
It was
I had
an
a lot
interesting high scene, but if they would have had better music and better sound design in that moment, it could have been great. Like it could have been a great high scene, but I could not get past the music. I was like, it's silent. The set is silent right now.
Huh. I didn't feel that.
There's a lot of stuff that you were feeling that night, dude. A lot of stuff.
I was feeling happy, and I was feeling like I enjoyed that movie.
Well, what do you think? Do you have anything else for Beyond the Butter?
I don't think so. I think let's get into the final pop.
The final pop. So,
take it away, buddy.
All right. Well, for this thing, from burnt to buttered on a 1 to 5 scale, I'm going to say, for me, this is a 2.0.
Okay. That's a little bit higher than I expected from you.
A 2.0. There was moments that were kind of funny. The story was okay, and it was slow. And I saw what they were trying to do. I could appreciate what they were trying to do. I just didn't enjoy it. I just didn't like it. I mean, at the end, I came out and I was like, that was just not that great to me.
I did hear you say that when we walked out. Yeah. Well, for me, on a scale of burnt to buttered, 1 being low, 5 being high, I got to put it right in the middle. You know, it's not a home run. It was very enjoyable. I think if my dad wanted to go see it, I'd go see it again in theaters. Do I wish that it was maybe an hour 45 or 2 hours instead of 2.5? Yes. I think it's a little bit too long, but at the same time, for me, it was all enjoyable.
So, should you go see this thing? You probably should see it just to see if you agree with me or if you agree with Toast on this one. If you have any ear for sound design, you're not going to like it. I can tell you that right now.
But if you enjoy juxtaposition and feeling maybe a little bit confused about people's motivations and about the overall direction of the movie, this is the movie for you.
I don't even like that word, dude. All right. Well, let us know your thoughts in the comments and if you went and saw this or not.
All right.
We'll see you in the next one.